All right, hello and welcome to Plugin Along, a stream dedicated to LOTRO plugins. Last time on Plugin Along, we started with an overview of birding and how the BirdLog plugin can help. And then we continued fixing issues with the deed tracker plugin by fixing a rare bug to do with tooltips. And today we're going to switch away to the Festival Buddy 2 plugin to work on expanding the Midsummer Festival guide. And we'll get back to deed tracker in the near future, but I do want to work through some problems I've been having and show off what I have gotten. As always, feel free to jump into chat with your thoughts and questions about LOTRO in general or plugins in specific, and we'll see what we can do. So, this is my completionist character. We are over here in Minas Tirith, and there's a couple of different ways to get over to the new island where we're going to be, Furtherhome, or if you just look at the maps panel under Horadwith, it is Festival Island. I feel like that was a placeholder that hasn't quite gotten fixed yet, because it's not called that anywhere else. Anyway, you can talk to Ikajat over here and get a quest returned to Furtherhome. Or you can come on over here to the festival, travel to Furtherhome, and that's what we're going to do right now. Which says we're basically background noise while they are working. Well, that is fine. I hope we're good background noise. Which was mentioning that their upcoming call was canceled, that it's a daily stand-up call. And I was saying, possibly controversially, that as a general rule, if a meeting takes such a short amount of time that you can stand up through the whole thing, should probably have been an email or maybe a post on an internal bulletin board, what have you. Like, if it was not a serious enough meeting where you actually probably going to want to chair for this, it probably wasn't that important. And I think most people will probably disagree, but that's okay. So when you come over here, all this was just demonstrated by Little Redhead. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time focusing on the nitty-gritty stuff, but I do want to show off a version of a quick guide through the Festival Island here, Furtherhome or Zir Akhtar. And it's going to start with picking up in celebration of Midsummer, if you haven't already. Now, this is an outdated text. Of course, Phaeloth is not the only way to get this now. We're going to come on in, and we'll be keeping an eye on our plugin channel here for standard output or error messages that might be of interest to us as plugin developers. But let me go ahead and shrink this up a little bit. Okay, so when we collect in celebration of Midsummer, it's going to start a timer just so we can get a sense of how long this is going to be. But this is going to be the full run, so we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 quests there, 8, 9, 10, and 11, and 12 for Let's Go Fly of Kites. So there's 12 quests in total, not counting the wrapper, not counting the race, and not counting the gathering guests. So that's going to give us a little leeway, because after we do a full run with 12, we should say, what if we just want the bare minimum? What if we just want 10? Which are the most efficient ones to get rid of, because they take the most time? I have my thoughts. Maybe you do as well. So what we're going to do is go ahead and just run through this first and use that as a starting point. So we're going to go ahead and get in celebration Midsummer. The clock is running. We'll get housekeeping, we'll get title treasures, and we'll head over here to the kitchen. Now there's a door just beyond the kitchen, so we can just duck out the side door here. Don't bother going back to the main door. Cool. Come over here to Makama, grab these 4 quests for now, though one of these, offering to help, does feel like a big time sink compared to the other ones. I'm going to go ahead and build a sandcastle on the way to helping out the thirsty beachgoer. So offering to help is probably one that I would drop. It's just a lot of back and forth for one quest. Oh, I've also forgotten to add in my Fateful Toolkit, so while we're running back for the probably ginger drink, I don't know, they say it's a strong drink, so that's my best guess. So while we're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and equip that. Excellent. Grab that refreshing beverage. Come back into Festival Buddy and turn off the Escape Key Closes Festival Buddy option, because I don't want that. And bring that drink back to the beachgoer. Okay, so we can mount up at this point because we need to go pick up 4 quests in the corner here. 3 that are visible, and then a 4th one, the yes or no to cats, will be opened up after you pick up the wrapper of Cat Conundrum. So we're going to say yes to cats, obviously. Great. So feed the scruffy cat. That's this one right over here on the corner. There's a lot of possible ways to go. We're just going to try to do a version of this. But there's a lot of places where you can be like, oh, maybe it's a little bit faster to go here, maybe a little bit faster to go there. All right, we have fishing. So let's go ahead and cast that fish. The way my cosmetic outfit is set up right now, you can't actually see my fishing pole, which is a shame because you could maybe see that bending as a sign it's time to catch your fish. But I can see the little bobbing thing in the water. I was actually thinking, I wonder if the fishing quest might actually take more time than the swimming quest. I don't know. Swimming quest feels like it takes a lot of effort to go out, but if you actually don't catch your fish, that's its own problem. So get the seagull, get the skinny cat here. Okay, that's good. Grab the Let's Go Fly a Kite. And grab this seagull on the way over here. Now we're approaching a kite location, so let's go ahead and get our kite out. Oh, actually we're not, because we got to talk to the relaxing holidayer. We're going to do a good place for a sandcastle, and then we'll be approaching a kite location. It's between us and the slinky cat. So you just want to have that kite out before you come on over here. All right. We've done the slinky cat. Oh, I forgot that feeding the cats doesn't take any time compared to shooing them off. I'm going to get rid of the kite. Our quick guide's going to tell us the next time we need a kite out, and it's in the way. If you do have a Fateful Toolkit, be sure to have it on before you go fishing. There's a small, but not zero chance of fishing a thing that has 10 tokens in it, and you can bump that up to 11. Grab this seagull on the way. There's also a seagull that's supposed to be over here on the southwest, but of course someone has already chased it off, but you can still get credit even if the seagull is not visible. Go ahead and chase off that one, and then we're going inside to make beds, clean up messes, and grab that book. Okay. So, floor and bed. If you position yourself right, of course, you can queue up the second without moving. But in some of these rooms, you're feels like you're awfully close to the door, and in that case, it might just be easier to do them one at a time. I like to do the room with the book last, just because that way I'm not completing things out of order. But it really doesn't matter which order you do these 3 rooms in, I don't think, from a time perspective. Okay. If there's enough people in here, the doors kind of always stay open, but fortunately you don't actually have to wait for them to swing open. We're going to grab that captivating book, slightly out of order here, but that's okay. Grab that dirty floor on our way out, and then feel free to go out the front door here. The guide that I'm working on currently has us do a couple of cats, because if those cats have been chased off, you want to aim to get them as early as possible in case you need to come back later. If people are saying no to cats, they chase them off, they stay gone for surprisingly long feeling amount of time. Like maybe it's only 10 or 15 seconds, but that's a long time just be standing waiting around for a cat to respawn. So get the both of these cats, and we can go ahead and get that seagull. Go ahead and pull out your kite though while you're at it, because coming down these steps will give you the flying the kite on the sands. And then we want to come on over here to the bridge where we can fly the kite again. And that'll be all the kites in town. We can head out to the beach for the last 2 of those later. So make sure to dismount before you get to the top. Cool. And then jump off and come on into the water. I'll dismiss the kite while I'm at it. Some of these swimming areas feel like you have to be very precise on where you go. So don't be afraid to pop open the map and get a sense of that. But here we go. Now, unfortunately, from a plugin perspective, there's no feedback that we have access to that tells us that we've actually progressed the quest. But what we can do is tell that you targeted the... get that cat, that you targeted the relaxing or the unsettled sightseer or whatever. Like, we know that you targeted them, but we don't know that you actually progressed the quest. There's no in-game thing that lets us know that you did it correctly. Grab that kite out while we're running around here. There should be a kite on the southern beach option. I think I missed it, so we'll go ahead and, yep, there we go. Get that flotsam while we're at it. So we're gonna come on into town. We're at 6 minutes and a half already, so we're trying not to lollygag too much, because if you have a lot of characters you want to get through this, you don't want to take unnecessary time. But the cushion's going to be out here in the front. If the sleepy cat was gone before because it was chased off, here's your chance to re-up on that cat. Same thing with the cat around the corner. If you need to go back for them, now's a good chance to check for that cat. And that's true for all of these cats. There's the one on the right that we're going past right there. There's the sassy cat over here. If you weren't able to get them, don't wait around. Just keep going. You're going to go by most of these at least another time. All right, so unsettled sightseer. Come on over to the hopeful suitor. And then we're just going back in town. This is why I think this is the most effective time-saving quest to skip. Because there's, I would not be riding all the way back into town to grab a picnic basket, except for this quest, of course. And we're not doing anything else while we're here. We've already done everything in town. But go ahead and grab the basket. The plugin, again, in this case, we can see you found a basket, but it's empty. So we could advance something on that. But we don't get any feedback that you've talked to Socklam, and we're just going to acknowledge that you looked at the filled picnic basket, but we don't know that you picked it up. And that's a reasonable compromise there. So, heading back out to the beach. Now we do have some completed quests over here. I'm just going to do a little cleanup here. So remove housekeeping, flock of seagulls, never needed cat conundrum, and that's good. But at the meantime, titled treasures will have fallen off. Possibly any others? Assisting the cook also. All right. So we want to go ahead and be able to fly a kite. So let's pull that out while we go over to the Merrymaker. It's just a little bit past it. Awesome. And then these actually, the Merrymaker does emote when he asks for more. The Strange Man demands that we can latch onto. And then he thanks you with a sigh of happiness. We can actually see that. So we know that you've finished all of those objectives by definition by then. All right, we can see someone else is doing flotsam here. And so we want to be on the ball because after about 5 or 10 seconds of someone else doing the flotsam, it will despawn for maybe another 5 to 15 seconds. And you just don't want to sit around waiting for that. I haven't really timed it out, but we seem to be in sync right now. So there's a swimming spot in the water over here, so we're just going to hop over this log and keep going. And as soon as we're done, we're going to aim for that ramp. Okay. So we're going to start collecting herbs, lemons, and whatnot for assisting the cook. We can mount up and ride up the slope, but it's such a small distance, I'm not sure it's actually an effective time saver. All right, so herb, and the lemon tree beyond it. And then if you select something, it's going to be on the hill on your left, and that's going to be a fresh herb. But there are 2 things beyond that, so just as a time saver, skip that, come to this fresh herb here and the lemon tree beyond it, and then turn around and start going up the hill. Little Redhead points out that the cats don't disappear nearly as long as the beggars do in Winterhome, and that is fair. Okay, we're going to go up to that olive tree, so I think it probably maybe saves a fraction of a second if you do mount up for this part. And then there's a fresh herb beyond it. Yeah, I am not inspired to build a tool for a plugin that tracks how long the cats are gone. And I was compelled to do that for the beggars, so I guess that gives us a relative sense of how long they're gone. Alright, So skip forward to this olive tree on the left, and then we have a problem because this is the last tree except for one of these two over here. And I don't... Hmm? Well, if we skip the one to the southwest, then we need the one to the northwest. One of those two is mandatory at this point. And so either we go forward and we grab it or not. But if we're doing swimming, I don't think it's a problem to go ahead and come back later. So we're going to go instead over to the top of the waterfall. And we'll do a little bit of fishing up here. And this looks like a good spot. Now, one thing to note about this from a plugin development standpoint is it looks like a good spot and you caught a fish are the same notifications for each one of the 1, 2, 3, 4 locations, I think it is. And so from a plugin perspective, we're just counting how many times we've seen those. I clicked incorrectly. Oh, did I? Well, there's a fish on my line, so good enough. I thought I clicked incorrectly. Anyway, so we see caught a fish, and the plugin is counting those because I told it to. So it knows that was the 4th time we saw caught a fish, so that corresponds to the 4th fishing hole. But because it's not specifically different, if we unloaded the plugin and reloaded it, right now, that count of information is not being saved by Festival Buddy in a save file. So if you unloaded the plugin and then reloaded it, everything else about your progress would be saved, but then you would go to a fishing hole and catch it, and it wouldn't automatically detect it, because from its perspective, that's the 1st fishing hole. And that could be worked around by saving that information out, but then caching that information, you do have a question of when do you clear that information? Okay, come out to the beach, resist the urge to pick up any seashells to the east. To the west of us are 5 seashells on the beach, and then 3 more out on the island we need to go to for swimming and the final fishing. Okay, and in the meantime, as we're running around, I'm going to go ahead and clean up the quest log a little bit more. We have finished building castles. As far as drift to shore, after the 4th one, go ahead and mount up because it's just long enough over to this last one that I think it makes sense to go ahead and mount up. I think you're going to reclaim that mounting time. All right, from here, go ahead and swim out to the left side of the island where one of those 3 shells is. You will clip the swimming spot, there we go, on the way, and go ahead and get rid of offering help as well. Cool. So this looks like a good spot for fishing. It's also a good spot to finish off your seashells. Very good. You do not have to be specifically fishing at this swirly thing. People I've been seeing are successfully fishing in a wide area around it. So don't feel like you have to land your hook in the middle of the sparkly thing or anything. Possibly anywhere on this island. I haven't tested it too much, but definitely in a broader area than just standing right here. Is it a fish? Quick Guide says yes. We can go. So that's the last of the seashells. That's the last of the fish. That's the last of Cat Conundrum, except for actually returning. So we have 1 juicy lemons and 2 more swimming places to go. Tellurian says, if I recall, you just need to have the fishing buff. Oh, interesting. I didn't actually pay attention to having the buff. That's excellent. Thank you. So yeah, that'd be a good way to tell it. Presumably it's something like 30 meters or something around that swirly spot gives you the buff, and then you can that Tellurian's mentioning, and then you can go ahead and get the objective. Now we need to go around to the west side here. I don't think it makes sense to go around the south and then west, so we're going to go west first. This tree is deceptive. You got to curl really far south to get it, essentially, because of topography. So don't try to get this before you get this swimming spot if you're doing all of these. All right, be prepared to back up as soon as... Yep, there we go. What a dangerous place. This was a mistake for a hobbit. As it turns out, yeah, on Little Redhead stream we heard that tall characters get a different set of messages, which from a plugin perspective we need to take into account. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go around the south side of this rock instead of the north side. And again, because of the topography, this is definitely here and possible. You can also go up the road to this other one and then jump back down. I don't have a strong sense of if one is better than the other. This one feels like it's closer, and so I think I'm leaning to this tree. Okay, so the answer is just hobbits that are different, not also dwarves. That makes sense. I like that. Alright, so at this point, we've gotten everything except the final swimming spot, so we're going to run on down here. Remove that. You can see we need to swim off the southwestern beach. This is one of the reasons why I think the swimming one is possibly one of my two likely quests to not do, because it just feels like a lot of extra work. Okay, from here, we can either go all the way back to town manually, or maybe if you have a milestone skill. I've got one for return to Minas Tirith, for instance, so we're going to take that. But we're going back to town either way, and then we just need to turn in all 12 of these quests, and we are done. Yeah, I almost exclusively play Hobbit, so I played a non-Hobbit character of mine, and my plugin suddenly was not, Festival Buddy was not registering that I had done these things, and I'm like, what's going on? And it was only then that I saw that the text was significantly different. I thought that was fun. But then I forgot to look at the text of the quest giver as you turn it back in. Oh, I did this incorrectly. I'm sorry. I'm just on autopilot. So when we get back, we need to make a bit of a circle, and we want to come back into the inn more or less last, because especially if you're not doing any of the quests, you're not going to be ready to turn in the wrapper until you have turned in the other quests in the inn. So we want to instead, however you get back into town, come back over here and turn in kites. And then come over to the west side where we can turn our 4 quests over here. And for me, I don't know what it is, but I have to basically stand almost on top of the quest giver to finish up the cat conundrum. Like, I can stand here and turn in these 2 quests and notice that I have not finished the cat quest because I'm just not close enough. But there we go. I finally got close enough. So you can be close enough to turn in the other quests and then realize that you never turned in the conundrum. Okay, let's turn in these 4. Alright, come back in because we do have one for the cook, so use the side door. And then the 2 over here, housekeeping and the seashells. Okay, and then we can turn in the wrapper. Could have done that first on our way, but that's okay. Okay, so that is 19 minutes on a fairly speedy run to do a full run of all 12 of those quests, but that did not include gathering guests, which I am working on for this character. I did not really do Midsummer last year, and so I am working on the deed that is do every one of these quests. Hall of Vernazal, that sounds easy. I've got travel there. Oh. Turning to the Hall of Vernazal. Great. One of the reasons I love the allegiances is extra travel skills. So even if you don't max yourself out with them, but why wouldn't you? You still get travel skill, and the interconnectedness of the different mission hubs means that mount type is not allowed here. Means that getting here gives you access to the stable master, and maybe that even if you don't want to be here, you might be able to go somewhere more useful. Landscape Cardolan, Landscape Swanfleet, Bloody Eagle Tavern. I was expecting Bree, but I guess Trestle Bridge is the closest you get. Anyway, what am I doing here? We're searching for possible guests, and I am going to want to mount here. Alright, so the possible guests would normally show up on a radar, but I don't see them, but they often hang out with other kind of socially areas. So I'm going to head upstairs and hope that that's there. Wizik says, nice, that's much quicker than doing the Minas Tirith dailies. I'm not sure how long it takes me to run through the quick guide in Minas Tirith. No, Taylor says, if I recall, they're at the end, not upstairs. Well, fair enough. And of course, the wiki does have a reference page for these. So let's see. So we're at Veronozal, in the dining area at the eastern end of the main corridor. Sure. Thank you, Teliran, and thanks, Wiki. All right, we got some potential visitors. So as was mentioned over on Little Red Head stream, these potential visitors, there's usually 4 of them. I think only one of them will be good at a given time, and we're looking for head scratches or sighs when they do not have the ring above them. There we go. So, if they are happy, if they are laughing, if they're smiling, they are going to be bothered by your attempt to get them to come to sunny Festival Island. But that one worked fine. So we're going to go ahead and Minas Tirith Milestone. And then the other thing I'm going to do before we run through further iterations of this is I haven't done 10 races on this character yet, so I still want to make progress on that. So we're going to go ahead and do a race around the island. It's not much optimization that you can do with that, but we're going to see what little we can do. All right. So this is progressing the class race, epic race, and social deed guests gathered. It's currently at 6 of 14. There we go. Number what? Oh, it's already done. Hall of Ren is all completed while we were there. This let us turn in the daily. You need the daily quest in order to be able to accept any of the other ones, and resetting it is 5 mithril coins. So I wouldn't recommend it unless you have the strong desire to complete this deed this festival and have run out of time otherwise. We need another 8 of them, and we need another 5 races, 4 after today. And we have plenty of time for that. Okay, so let's go around the corner to the racehorses. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and remove those quests. All right, Shield Isles Racemaster. And you know, it hardly matters, but stand in front of your race pony as far as you can before you get on. You know, it's free distance. Why not? And just as a slight optimization, aim for the far left or far right side of these poles, depending on what's going on. So I don't want to drift any further to the right than I have to on this next one. So aiming for the left. And the next one, same thing, but on the right. So I want to aim for the rightmost position in those. So don't try to stay on the path. Just do basically straight lines from one pole to the next pole. Hey, I got a speed boost. I don't know why. All right, we're gonna go, let's say up this time. I think the mud. I think there's more shortcutting than we can do with that. Same thing with these roots. Like I feel like maybe hopping up on these rocks could be interesting, but I don't feel like I did it correctly if the answer is yes. All right, we have mud. And then I don't know what to do about the mud over here, except maybe you can be on those rocks. All right, and that's just basically a straight shot to the end. All right, that actually feels like a lot of leftover time. Sometimes I can't even see the blue bar by the time I get back. So I did it efficiently on stream. Okay, so there we go. We have completed 6 of 10 seaside sensations, 6 of 14 guests gathered. Great. So I'm just returning Affodil here to the inside of the Cracked Flagon Inn. Also remember to get rid of my Fateful Toolkit. And so what we're going to do here is log off of Affodil, log on to a different character, and then start musing about time savings. Alright, so let's log off of my minstrel and then log on with my minstrel. Apple is 136 and needs to get higher level. Okay, so we're here in the Shield Isles, and we're going to remember to put on our Fateful Toolkit. Great. Unclaimed rewards, I know. Okay, so let's go look at our plugin manager. Let's get this thing loading for everyone. All right, so we want to be able to configure. So we're going to go down to Midsummer, quick guide, and we want to configure this. So what we want to do right now is acknowledge that at the moment, when I wrote the quick guide, I kind of assumed there was one quick guide per festival. And so the problem we have here is there's two distinct areas. And I think it would make sense to sometimes do one of them, sometimes do the other, sometimes do both of them. And so the current system of everything goes into one list doesn't make me happy. So I think what needs to happen is the data structures need to be refactored in a way that each festival has a list of quick guides, and that maybe there's buttons or a drop down or something at the top to select which one you're doing. And so there would be a distinct Minas Tirith guide and a distinct Furtherhome guide. And I think that would mostly fix that. And then I'd be able to include alternative guides as well, because right now there's only a single guide for the Inleague and Ale Association. That was the point where I was like, uh-oh, that's a problem, because there's a hunter guide, there's other guides, be fun to include some fan-made guides, whatever. And so, yeah, so that's a refactoring that needs to happen. I don't think it's going to happen on stream, but it could happen over the next week, or it could happen next Tuesday. Today, I'm more focused on the contents of the quick guide. So how do we deal with that in the meantime? Well, we're just going to come in and just turn off some of the quests we don't care about. Just starting from the top, something floral, great, but I also know something misplaced, something blue, sweet treats, tasty morsels, to the last drop, toss a coin, unfallible hounds, wedding supplies, and what ails you. At the top, a cure for all ills, aid in stable hands, artistic arrangements, arrangements, artistic direction, and floral crowns, growing pains, honoring healers. Love is in the air. And that should catch us up. Great. So, this is, again, 12 quests. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And 12 for Let's Go Fly a Kite. So, my hypothesis is that offering to help is super time consuming with all the back and forth thing. Some of it's not entirely redundant. Like the first two are fine. Like the first one, you duck back into the inn and back. It doesn't take a lot of time. The second one, you need to go back into the inn to tidy up the room. So grabbing the book while you're there hardly matters. So it's really just the extra time to get back around, except you need to go swimming. So if we really only focus on the beach, where you go to the beach and you come back for the cushion and you bring it back, and then you go picnic basket, go and come back, and those feel like the longest, and so the best savings of time. So we're going to turn off offering to help, and then probably the swimming spots is the next most annoying one for me, because of those two spots, the west and the super far west. If we can not worry about those two, I think that saves us a fair amount of effort. And then you're not stuck in the middle of the water at the end of all things. So we're going to go ahead and turn off searching for swimming spots as well. And then we're going to get started and see how it goes. So we're going to go ahead and and Celebration Midsummer, and that starts the clock. We'll get housekeeping, we'll get titled treasures, and again, going off to the chef for assisting the cook. And then out. Now, we're going to get only 2 of these quests. Tellurian says, I tend to skip the cook and the helping quest. The cook I thought about, but if you can only skip 2 of them, I think searching for swimming spots annoys me more. So we're going to see. Actually, it's entirely possible the fishing one is worth skipping over the swimming one. Alright, so we're just doing this. And if you're careful, you can jump straight back up. You don't need the stairs. I'm going to go get all 4 of the quests over here. Obviously, we're saying yes to cats. And then we're going to get going. So feed the scruffy cat, done. Chase off the irksome seagull. Why? Okay. I didn't register, which is strange. We're going to chase off the irksome seagull here. Could have been just chased off or something. And we found a fishing spot. So again, this one I can actually see there's meaningful time sitting here, and it might make more sense to turn this one off because, you know, the chance of pulling up a box of 10 plus 1 or 10 or possibly 11 tokens, that's not terrible, but there's a lot of time just sitting here. And if it's like 15 per hole and there's 4 fishing holes, then that's a minute of just standing around, and that makes up for a fair amount of running to swimming holes. All right, waiting to see green. Great. Kill the quest item notification. So this seagull, this cat, take the kite. Awesome. So irksome seagull there, sandcastle here, and go ahead and grab your kite wherever that's going to be. No, I accidentally let it go. Okay. Have the kite, come here, fly kite, slinky cat, great. Now, I will say, if you have a character who's not maxed out on fishing, then this is a free way to get maybe incremental progress. But once you're high enough on fishing, you're looking at 15, 20, or more fishing attempts for each increment, and you might not get any on a particular day. So I don't think this is actually... If this quest were slower, but that was a potential benefit, I don't think that's actually worth it. Alright, there's 3 seagulls to get here. 1 there. 2 there. Really? There we go. And the last one over here. Alright, so we are still doing housekeeping. Tellurian says that they don't know what the frequency is on the coin bags, but got 3 of them yesterday during 1 round. Yeah, that matches with my experience, which is sometimes I don't get any of them, and sometimes I'll get multiples in a day. And I don't think it's anything other than random chance, but I would guess that there's something like a 5 to 10% chance, maybe even a little bit higher, of getting that versus a fish. Like, where it's possible to get 2 or 3 in a day, and that's not too weird, but it's also possible to see none of them. Oh, so we're done in here. We're going to go out the main door, which is smaller than the bedroom doors, and we see the EP cat. Oh, that one took a while. Weird. Going around the corner, getting the smelly cat. Go ahead and grab out that that kite, so that we can walk down the stairs and grab it, mount back up, and head over to the bridge. Now, normally, this is where I would jump into the water to swim and then give the book back, but we don't need to do that, so we're just heading straight out of town because we're not doing that right now. Well, we can see that the cat is not here. And that's actually a problem because normally we'd be running back and forth, but we're not planning to come back and down. So I'm just going to clear up a couple of quests that are done while it respawns. There we go. Sassy cat. And we'll go do the flotsams. Now we are skipping offering to help, but we do have the ability to fly our kite. There we go. And nope, there it is. Yep. We're gonna get the next kite location, not too far from the sandcastle and the flotsam location. Well, that's fun. You don't even see the buried guy if you're not on that quest. All right. So after this, we're going to mount up because the next flotsam's far enough away. And that's why they race gate. Maybe that's a toss of the coin. Well, then again, I got there faster than the other one, even with misclicking. So, okay. We're not going to go into the water because, again, we're skipping the swimming. So we're going to instead, right after the last flotsam, we're going to go to the ramp. This flotsam is respawning. And we're going to get rid of this kite because we're done with that. Great. So mounting up and heading on over there. Building castles is done. Swords drifted ashore. And let's grab that herb. Well, we get rid of let's go fly a kite. Alright. Alright, so there's 2 over here. Are those sites here? I wish I had found a way to make use of this drop down into the city. And actually, maybe for turning in, I could see that. But this drop down here, the ramp on the north side, those never really clicked in a way for me to do things more efficiently. Alright, so for this, we're not going to have an excuse to come back to this side of the island for swimming. So we're going to go ahead and get this final tree over here now instead. Oh, it's just down here. Which one are we looking for? Yeah, okay. Okay, great. So we got that tree. We're doing things a little out of order here. And that might be a reason to move that one up anyway, because it might be slightly less efficient in general. But if you are skipping some of these, then it might be more correct for, on average, more of the time. Alright, this looks like a good spot. So Tilian was saying we might have a buff. Nope, not that one. Fishing! This looks like a good place to catch some fish. Well spotted, Tilian. Thank you for calling it out. So, you can move as far away from the spot, I would assume. As long as you still have that buff, you're good to go. And getting that buff is probably what triggers you to see. This character actually has a fishing pole that you can see. It's very fancy. Okay. So, collect our olive. Lemon tree. And then we're going for a tree on the northeast there. So we can bounce on down the cliff face here. That's the path down into town that I haven't figured out a use for. And fall down on the olive tree. Let your legs recover while you're picking fruit. Alright, again, resist the urge to head to the east. We're just going to head straight out to the seashell in front of us. Now, it is true that if you didn't need swimming and if you didn't need fishing, you wouldn't need to go out to that island. You could instead do the seashells from something else. And there are, I think, enough seashells on the beach to the southeast. I think there's 3 more where that's a possibility. Alright, head on out. I'm curious when we're going to get that fishing buff. Ah, interesting. I have to get closer to the island than closer to that swirly bit. Alright, so this is the last fishing. So, if you don't do fishing, you could still end up here for swimming and shells. But if you're not doing swimming, just realized I almost certainly pressed escape. Okay, so now we just head on back in. So from here, I don't think it makes any more sense to ride back in than it does just to Minas Tirith milestone and take the mount. But we can see we're about 4 minutes ahead of where we were on the main run with all 12 quests. That was about 16 and a half minutes, I think. I guess we can go back in the stream and look to complete everything and get back into town. And here we're doing it in 12 and a half minutes. But let's go ahead and actually finish it up, get the final time. Alright, 2 quests here. Looks like we just leveled. Excellent. Great. Okay, so that was 13 and a half minutes compared to the 19 minutes. So 19 minutes full run, 13 and a half minutes. We'll go ahead and hit reset on there. Let's pull this up. And I'm just making some notes here. So let's go ahead and grab that. Alright, so we did it without swimming. Searching for swimming spots and offering to help. Okay. So that's really promising, right? Knocking off 5.5 minutes and making our lives easier, that's not bad. So let's hypothesize that fishing is actually even worse than one of those 2. I don't think this is a big stretch. So we're going to log off of Apple and log into some other fruit name, maybe. No, probably not. And think about if we were to swap one of those in, what would it be? And I don't think the race is at all fast, but if you're going to be doing the race anyway, if you're going to be doing gathering guests anyway, if you're working on those, then I think that gives you some freebies. Obviously, get rid of fishing, swimming, offering help, And then a fourth one, seashells, I think. Let's give that an example, actually. My goodness, which characters do I care about for this festival? Let's come on over here. Alright, daffodil and apple. The next one, Yachris. Okay. Yachris, let's do it. So, let's actually start with gathering guests in the race, so that we're ready to turn in the wrapper when we're done. Actually, gathering guests counts. Does it count as 2? Oh, that's a good question. Let's do it first so we can tell. So we're going to grab the In Celebration of Midsummer, and then we're going to gather guests in Breetown. That sounds great. So this is a hunter, so we're just going to go ahead and guide debris, makes it easy. And tell you what, let's come on in here. Escape key does not close that. And we'll deal with filtering things out in a little bit. All right, so we can see that we're going to the Three Boars Fountain. If I had a Lolia's Market, that could be slightly faster. And we'll remember to go ahead and turn on our Find the Path ability. Okay, so while we're riding through town, let's go ahead and sort this out. So, and again, this is just because I don't have them categorized well. So, aid in the stable hands, artistic direction, floral crowns, growing pain, thundering healers, love is in the air. Something floral, sweet treats, tasty, 2 last drop, toss a coin, unhelpful. Okay, so 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Cool. We'll hold there while we're working on this. Okay, so potential visitors. Now, the very first time I was doing this quest, I just happened 25% chance to get the one that I was supposed to. And so I had a fundamental misunderstanding of how this quest was going to work. All right, that visitor is nodding, or potential visitor is nodding. I think that is a satisfied person. There's the other 2. That's a sigh. Great. So, deep bestowed, awesome. And that did not count as a quest. Okay, so they're not going to let us double dip on that. Very sad. All right, let's go ahead and get this down here. Oh, it's already up there. Hilarious. Okay. Now, that is a problem because I've got a 1-minute cooldown on those milestones. But that's a problem for later. Okay. Let's come in and do a horse race. Or in this case, a pony race. Oops, slightly too far away. Okay. We had a pretty good run on top. Let's go ahead and do that again. See if we can do better on the second half of that mud. Now, I think there are a couple of seagulls on this route. If you happen to pick up the Flock of Seagulls quest first, you will advance a couple of them here, but there's more than 8 in town, so it's not necessary. And running over to the corner to pick up Flock of Seagulls feels like it would take a meaningful number of seconds. At least 10. Alright, so we're going to find the shortcut. These roots, I don't have a good answer for yet. Except maybe jumping on that rock over there. Alright, we did not get the mud's notice. So we're going to come on over the edge? No, that's not helpful. Okay. So you can definitely skip the first half of the mud. I'm not sure about the second half, and you have to come down for the gate. So at least I say that. In fact, I have missed a gate. Just looking at the mark. So I was too excited by skipping the mud. Not this time, scaredy cat. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and quitting the race, and we're going to switch back to our normal steed. Now, is there something I could have done about that? Well, certainly a plugin could warn me, or could tell me, but I could also be paying attention to the race status over here, or using our M map a little bit more aggressively. Fortunately, we can redo this. Unfortunately, there is a 5-minute cooldown, and there is no way to redo it with mithril coins that I can see. But we're close enough here. But we can see that suggests that the horse race takes a good... That can't be right. 5 minutes? Maybe it's a 2-minute timer. Here, I'm going to grab my phone and start a timer. Technically a stopwatch. Cooldown was reduced to 1 minute. Awesome, thank you. Not that I disbelieve you, but I will trust but verify. But that would suggest that the race takes a little less than that, since I was able to come back over while it was still on cooldown. That's not bad. I can see why, though. Like 5 minutes would feel like an eternity. Alright, reach the 3rd gate. Done. Go to the 4th gate. Crossfade says, hello, is there a decent map plugin better than the standard UI? Well, a lot of people like the Moor map plugin, which despite its name is no longer just for the Moors, the Moors. But I'm going to focus on this race for just a minute. Another one. Is a bad time to ask for pets. Okay, so that worked. Hey, what's up? Well, now you say they reduced the cooldown, but I'm at 1:15 right now, and I don't think I was going substantially differently paced before. So I'm going to say that the cooldown's probably closer to 2 minutes. In actuality. Now, maybe they said they were going to reduce it even more. Okay. So, Crossfade says, oh, sorry, I just saw you racing. No worries. I should know what I'm doing with that by now. So, the LOTRO interface site is where I would recommend looking for these things. And if we search for Moor map, the Moor map by Garen, we can see that the last time was updated in May or October, depending on your point of view. And this is a plugin that does more than just the Ettenmoors. It started as an Ettenmoors companion, and it's grown far beyond that. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the LOTRO Plugin Compendium to install this. You can also install it manually, but I find it a little bit easier to use the Plugin Compendium. So it looks like this, and we're going to go ahead and add a new plugin, and it's going to be Moor map. I'm going to select that and say add, and it's downloaded, extracted, and done. Great. So remember that if you've got Lord of the Rings Online running, when you add or remove plugins, you'll want to go ahead and use the green arrow button up here to refresh your possible list of plugins. And then we can see more maps. So let's go ahead and load that up. All right. We've got an enable terrain map and compatibility. Highly recommend that you enable it. Sure. All right. So it does some preparation. That is excellent. Okay, so we now have Moor map. Now, Moor map Is there an icon that I'm missing? Yes, it's in the upper left. So on the upper left, we have a little icon. If you want to move it, just hold shift to move it to a different location. By default, it's got some opacity on it. That might be configurable in options. And then clicking on it will give you a map. Now, one of the big things that this would give you was a resizable map. But in a recent update, LOTRO did bring in that ability as well. So if you have a full screen map, go ahead and click that little minus button up at the top if you want it to be a windowed map instead. And then you can adjust the size of it to your content. And then the tracker itself will be off to the side instead of being integrated into it. Oh, actually, you have a lot more flexibility here. Cool. This is, of course, going to be dependent on the resolution and the dimensions of your screen. Crossfade says, I loaded the plugin interface, but when I type in more map, it doesn't show up. So that's the first thing, is make sure, as Tellurian said, make sure you press the little green button, and you should see a number of MMs, including more map. And then once it is loaded, you should find this icon. And yes, there are some textual ways to get it to load as well. Clicking on that icon will bring up more map, and this will give you maps for all sorts of things. So if we want to see the Breland map, great. And there's all sorts of symbols on here, and you can make your own as well. So if I want to go ahead and sorry, I don't actually use more map very often, so I'm a little fumbly with it. So if I click here, I can go ahead and add an annotation. We're going to add a new annotation, type, point of interest, name. Come back here, exclamation point. There was a cool bear. We're going to go ahead and save that. And it's done. So when I hover over it, come back here. Cool. So this is a map that's a little bit more interactable. It has more points of interest on it by default. We can see that. But it also has the ability to make marks on it of things that you think are important. You can control which of these symbols are on here in options, I am sure. But I am going to say, like I said, I don't have a lot of experience with it, so knowing how to do that, it's probably actually this flag. Nope, that's the custom one. I'm sure there's a way to control that. Breadcrumbs, overlay. How about the overlay? Oh, that's those. Yeah, nice. Filter. Yeah, there we go, filter. So clear all. There we go. So as you are filtering things, you might only care about ore nodes or wood nodes. Now these aren't necessarily from the game. Those might be the ones that you had to make yourself. So if I go ahead and add an annotation, and this is an ore node, what tier is it? Node. Cool. We're just going to say copper. So we have filtered on showing nodes right now. So we now, bearing in mind, you would have to either download a list of these or make them all yourself. It may even have a way to automatically detect that you have done this, because MoreMap has a lot of functionality. So I would definitely recommend reading the manual and have a good time with it. Cool. So let's go ahead and turn in our gathering guests, and then we'll be prepared to try to do an extra speedy run of this that only includes 8 of the 12 quests. So we get to pair off all of the ones we don't want to do. From a time perspective, I like the fishing one, but it's not a great use of our time. Okay, so, no, apparently there's a gathering guest weekly. I'll take it. Why not? Okay, so what we want to do is pull up in our quick guide, and we're going to go ahead and do a little spoof so we get our timer to go, and that's in a celebration of Midsummer. We already accepted this. But before we do that, let's go ahead and think about which one of these quests do we not want to do. I think offering to help takes a lot. Searching for swimming takes a lot. Fishing for advice takes a lot. And then what would be the last one? Assisting the cook. I think assisting the cook takes a lot. So that would just give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then an 8th for the kites. So let's see what that would be like. So we're going to go ahead and accept in celebration of Midsummer. And the clock is running. So we'll do housekeeping, we'll do title treasures, and then we just go straight outside because we're not helping the cook, and we're only getting one of these quests. Bonkers. And that is the building castles. Okay, speaking of which, let's build a castle. Now, I'm a hunter, so I've got speedy running, so I have to bear that in mind whenever I'm thinking about mounting up. But let's go ahead and get flock of seagulls, cat conundrum, cat's yes, and that. Okay, so same thing. Let's go interact with the scruffy cat. Great. Irksome seagull, bam. Irksome seagull, bam. Oh, we're not doing fishing. Right. So weird. Irksome seagull, skinny cat. Great. Let's go fly a kite. Now we do have a castle and an irksome seagull over here. Great. And, oh, that's so weird because we wouldn't actually need to go do the seagulls. We just need to get out of here. Let's go ahead and head out of town. Now, this is not going to know that we're doing this, so it's going to misattribute the irksome seagull. That's okay. Fly a kite to the west end of the harbor. Oh, that's okay. We do want to do that. That's fine. So we just built the castle here. So we got to go ahead and, oh, and there's a cat. No wonder. We gotta be over here. Okay. So kite, cat, and then we're not going to do fishing, but we might as well get the couple of irksome seagulls, 1 and 2. Okay. So making the beds and scrubbing the floors, we can do that when we go turn in the quests in this abbreviated version. So we're actually going to skip by a fair amount of stuff here. Great. Let's come on in and we flew the kite. Oh, flying the kite on the eastern bridge. Yeah, okay. I'm really not used to doing all this. Or not doing it all, I guess. Alright, we just saw that flotsam ghost. Let's go ahead and get that before we get the sandcastle. 1003, 1004, 1005, 1006, 1007. There, flotsam back. So, no, it just despawned. So it despawned about 7 seconds after they interact with it, and then it came back a few seconds later. Probably actually 5 seconds or 10 seconds. Nice round numbers like that make a lot of sense, but no guarantee. Okay, so we're actually going to be done over here. So this might be our chance to make use of going through town. So they just needed 20 minutes, including fishing, swimming, and the race, and messing up. I skipped the cook, the helping quest, and the kites. I don't actually find the kites to be a problem because I needed to go everywhere the kites were taking place. Speaking of, let's grab this one. Alright, so seashells is like the only other thing out of town here. Bonkers. Well, hey, there's a seashell right over here. Oh, that's way too far. We're not going back for that. So, coming out here to the beach, we're going to just start at this end and go over until we're done. And at that point, we should be able to take that middle path back into town at least. Oh, and we even got our last seagull that we had been missing. Okay, so this is with a lot of messing up, of course, and not counting the gathering guests or the race. But if you're doing those anyway every day, and you're looking to minimize the rest of your time, you can see we're on the last quest outside of the inn, and we are at 5.5 minutes. All right, so we're at 7 of 8. We're just going to mount up to get over to this last one. Windows over here. Can you actually get up to that path from down here? Is it this one right here? I'm going to say the answer is probably no. All right, if there's a way up, I'm not sure. So I'm not going to worry about it right now. Okay, great. So we're going to come back in. No, sorry. Before we go into the inn, we'll do everything else. So we're going to turn in, fly a kite, and so on. Okay, those are all good. Deed completed. Hooray, I'm confused by cats. Alright, we only had the one quest here. And we can come in this door since we need the side room anyway for housekeeping. Great. And out. Okay. And there's our last two quests here. Bonkers. Why doesn't that timer stop? So that was 8 minutes. I mean, I'm going to call it about 8 minutes without messing up. So without searching for swimming spots and offering to help. And what were the other ones? And the fishing one. Fishing for advice. And assisting the cook. I'll put an about there. So about 8 minutes for that. Now, that doesn't feel like a huge savings, but it is 5.5 minutes less than the previous one. And so that was fishing for advice and assisting the cook. So I think fishing for advice, actually, there's a lot of potential savings there. So what I want to do next is, what if offering help still feels like the big one. So let's go ahead and swap out fishing for advice with searching for swimming spots. Nope. This one. So that's going to be the next character, is we will search for swimming spots and we will assist the cook, but we won't fish and offering. That's for the full 10, assuming that you're done gathering guests or doing the race and you're just looking for your just those 10. So let's okay. So I am curious why that timer isn't stopping. Hmm. Because I had it somewhere else. Okay. Cool. Okay. So, we're going to go ahead and... No, I never actually got my Faithful Toolkit. Okay, we're going to switch characters. That was Yachris. Good job, Yachris. We're going to go over to Schildwacht. It's my Guardian. I don't mind leveling up my Guardian without any combat. Same basic idea, though. We're going to double check the setup of Festival Buddy, and then we'll get going. Okay, so first of all, escape key, no, don't close. Second of all, we're coming into Midsummer, quick guide. And we're going to go ahead and cure for all ills. Aiding stable hands, arranging, artistic direction, floral crowns, growing pains, honoring healers. Love is in the air. Something plural, something misplaced, sweet treats, tasty morsels. 2 the last drop, toss a coin, unhelpful hounds. Great. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That'll be 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay, so we are doing a run without fishing for advice, all right, and offering to help. But we will get all 10 of our daily quest through this mechanism. That's the goal. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get that in celebration. What? Did I really forget to turn in Celebration of Midsummer? Hilarious. Okay, doesn't matter. Because we're going to go ahead and hit the reset on here. Oops. And just pretend like we got it for the timer's sake. Oh yeah, I totally just accepted that. Alright, the clock is running. Daroma. Great. We are getting assisting the cook. Alright, building castles. Searching for swimming spots. Alright, so we're going to build a sand castle. And we want to make sure charge is available to us. It is. Good. And then we're going to skip the help. We're getting all of these. Cat, yes, obviously. Great. Scruffy cat. Seagull. Seagull. Why did that not count? There we go. Okay. I'm gonna just say lag. Unfortunately, we don't know which seagull you chased off. It's just a number. Oh, no, I did have it. Okay. And so we just have to assume that you're following the guide. Alright. Got that one. Sandcastle. Now we want to make sure we're ready to get our kite out. As we run on over to the Slinky Cat. Great. Yes. And then, you know, I'm just going to go ahead and do the rest of it in order, even though it's not necessary. So, we'll get that Irksome Seagull, and that one we could probably get earlier. And let's just go ahead and make these beds on our way to the other cats. I'm not fishing. I think this still makes some sense because we do want to front load the cats where possible in case they have been chased off. So I think that's going to be the excuse for just leaving it the way it is. We want the EP cat as it looks like it is. And the smelly cat. There's some seagull. Oh, we do want that kite. There we go. And then we need to fly it on the eastern bridge as well. Oh, but that's fine because we need to swim. All right, we have swum. At this point, we just need to get out of the water, but this seems like the closest thing to the exit. Oh no, the sassy cat's not here. Alright, the sassy cat is here. Okay. So we are still flying kites, we are still cleaning up flotsam. Alright, we're going to ride on over to the Merrymaker. And it's just past them. There we go. Just because this other person is here and I don't want to be left without some flotsam, we're going to get those first. Alright, and we're doing swimming. So the real question is, what's up with those other swimming points? Well, that's for later. Okay, so let's go ahead and get rid of some of these. Okay. I don't mind the cook one, except for where it doesn't really flow. And that's that last tree in one of these. But if we're doing the swimming thing, then we're coming around to here anyway from there. And I think we can get the tree then without too much loss of time, or at least less loss of time than we would do if we just ran over to this tree this time. Alright, so let's go up to the waterfall instead. Yeesh. Oh, I'm not doing fishing. Why would I? Alright, so we're gonna go down the cliffs to the last tree in this direction. Alright, so this is where the path comes out. Does it seem reasonable that there would be a way to get to here? not obviously. All right, so following the beach west from here, because we need to swim in the northern channel anyway. Is that right, though? Is that really better than backtracking for those three? Uncertain. It's possible that mounting up and coming to the end for those three saves you that time of swimming beyond the swim point to the island and back. In fact, hang on. We can do a triangle out of this. I think if a guardian charges, it might impact your swimming speed also. Let's go ahead and try that out. Yep, seems pretty good. We're gonna get our last seashell, and that's going to show us that we just have 2 more swim spots and 1 more tree. Now, this feels pretty similar to how my normal full route ends. And we can see we're at 9.5 minutes now, which is not bad time-wise, but we're also still have some of the longer trekking to do. Alright, jump on in. The water is blue and deadly. What a dangerous place. This was a mistake. Unless you're not a hobbit, then it's fine. I did wonder when I was running through this on all my hobbit characters, like, wow, this... You'd think a tropical island would have better swimming spots. And it did not occur to me to link that to being a hobbit. Alright, so we want to come up here, grab this last tree. Okay, so follow path up and collect juicy lemon from tree on right. I just want to make that to say tree on left. And then we can charge on down the slope here. Alright, and I still think it makes a lot of sense to go ahead and use the milestone to get back. Because that saves you from having to get out of the water and then run all the way back into town. I mean, I could see it going either way because then you're on the wrong bridge, so you do have to run around in town. So, it'd be worth timing it, but I just can't believe this unless your computer doesn't do the transition to and from Minas Tirith very well. Like, it just seems like it's going to be faster this way. Okay, so we're back in town, either way, and we're going to turn in all of these quests. Cool. Right, I forgot we don't have the wrapper, but that's okay. Shkodlok still needs the experience. Okay. Deed completed. I'm confused by cats. Turn in the last 2 quests here. Now, we did do assisting the cook this time, so let's turn that in here, if we can find the door. And the last 2. Okay, and then, of course, we turn in the thing, and we are at 12.5 minutes. So, that is faster doing the swimming spots and not doing the fishing was faster by about a minute. Tellurian says 16.5 with fishing, racing kite, skipping, cook, help, and swimming. I would encourage you to give a swap fishing and swimming. Go ahead and do the swimming, don't do the fishing. Tellurian says skipping the race is not an option, send Steed. I absolutely get it. I'm a completionist. I'm there. I'm with you. But, so that was 12.5 minutes if you skip fishing for advice and offering to help. And I think that's gonna be it. I do not believe that the swimming takes more time than offering to help or fishing. And if you want all 10 to be done without talking about the race and gathering guests, I think that's probably getting to an optimal state. But there might be something about the pathing, like the seashells. So I'm interested in trying that. Anyway, so we have been running this to try and get a sense of what's going on here. But I would say what I did for the quick guide seems to be pretty functional. It's keeping up with our changing routes and is detecting what we are seeing. So hooray for that. But we still have the problem of it is not very good. It's not set up well between Midsummer Minas Tirith and Midsummer Furtherhome. And so that would be the next thing that I want to do. So I think I'm going to take a few notes here on what that might look like, and then maybe do a final run with a tall person to make sure picking up those non-Hobbit cues is working correctly. And that might be a good breaking point for today, where we just demonstrate the quick guide that is coming and start plotting out how we're going to fix this division between the two. So first, we're going to come on in to our source control and close some extra stuff here. Okay. So how do these things work? So we have a quick guides function, quick guides central Lua file underneath quick guides that is not specific to any one festival. And within that, we set up a number of global tables with the goal that each festival is going to populate these things. And quick guide, let's go ahead and take a look at that. Let's look at exactly that, and we can see that these are going to be indexed by notes, cover, design as of 2026, 06/16. So this is indexed by festival. Example, quick guide Midsummer. Okay. How does quick guide progress work? Same thing. I think that's going to be true for all of these. Yep. We're just going to say let's see if we can find a counter example. Nope. 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 Now, one thing I did notice while I was populating this, and I've seen it before, I'm sure, is that there's a lot of redundancy in the data structures you have to set up in order to make this whole system work. And that's just because when I was first making this, I was just solving the problem one step at a time. And I think going back to it now, maybe it could be a little bit better. So these are all indexed by festival. So in order to accommodate more than one quick guide per festival, we'll need to change how we get data in/out of all of these. So what does that look like? In theory, this is currently Midsummer equals ... would need to go to quick guide Midsummer minus Tirith. But it's important to remember that Midsummer in this case is referring to a variable, and that variable is just quote Midsummer. And so we would need to define Minas Tirith as something. Now, if it happens to be a numerical value, so if Minas Tirith equals 1, Furtherhome equals 2. Is that how you spell Furtherhome? Furtherhome. All right. Furtherhome equals 2, then we could I-pairs through each one. Otherwise, if Minas Tirith equals, just quotes Tirith, Furtherhome equals Furtherhome, or something like that, then we'd need a secondary table that defines an order. So 1 equals Minas Tirith, 2 equals Furtherhome, something like that. And so under the covers, it slightly makes the readability of a debug dump of a table nicer if you're not doing numerical indices. But does that matter? I don't think that is going to be the tipping point. But I think if we start numeric, then we can just get I-pairs iteration freely. If we then change it, we're going to have to change what we're I-pairs iterating through and then have essentially a dereference where we use that as the thing. So will be a pretty trivial change, except it'll be a change of how we access 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different structures. So nailing this down is going correctly the first time is going to save us a fair amount of rework. So we need a decision before start. Numeric or string in keys. We need a decision before start. Okay, so after that, we'll need to hunt down every one of these references, and we can do that. Obviously, we can do like a find all references, or we can just search on a word boundary for that thing, and we can find all of those. And we'll need to set up a default, essentially. Okay, we could spec this out a little bit. If we had a default guide equals 1, and then use that everywhere, our quick guide progress, I think it's saved. Does that sound right? What is progress? Oh, that's incremental progress. Yeah, all right, fair enough. Okay. Need further searching. How do we save our progress? Now, this is actually, how we save our progress is actually its own problem, because right now, it is kind of one-to-one tied with the order of things in the UI. And that makes it a problem, because if you change the order of things during development, you change which things were crossed off. Like, the things that were crossed off are now different because the order is different. So I don't like how that works, and I would like to improve it. Can we fix how we save progress so we no longer change what was checked off when rearranging? So that would be... So the reason that happens, and we can dig into that in just a moment, is under quick guides, under the quick guide for each festival, so here's the Midsummer, we have this, where we need to have all of these things added at a particular index. And we really want to avoid, whenever we're reordering things, having to go and redo all the indices for all of them. But we do want it to be in a defined order, so we need a numerical index that starts from 1 and goes to n. And so we just have a function add next quick guide value, which is just inserting it, adding 1 to I, so that we don't have to do that locally, and we just, that's it. This is added at 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5. But instead of the index, what if we saved the key? Okay. What if we saved the internal key instead of the index? Okay, so that'll be definitely, since we're going to be in here anyway. How do we do that? Now the quick guide window, your check changed. All right, settings, blah, blah, blah. So we have settings, quick guide progress, selected festival, index. So that's right there, where we're using the index instead of that key. Would need to change functions like this. But also, we need to change this access anyway to accommodate the possible different guides. So that would be something like this. Selected festival, selected guide. Why selected festival? That predates me, that's fine. So selected guide. So we would need like selected guide equals Minas Tirith. And then sure, selected festival equals Midsummer. Selected guide equals Minas Tirith, and then we can be setting those. And then if we have the selected guide item equals, and let's go ahead and make up a thing here. So assisting the cook, olive 2. So the guide item read as, and so that would be Midsummer, Minas Tirith, assisting the cook, olive 2 equals true. That is, it has been completed. So I think if we had something like that, we can change the save stuff first, separately from everything else. So, goals. Change the save format first. Remembering to delete the old, increment the save file version and delete the old format stuff. Is it worth trying to convert? Probably not. And then once, and then go ahead and change the structures to include the guide type / version. And then that kind of allows for add a UI element, buttons or drop down to select which guide is in use. Update the options to show each guide at its own nested level. So that would be in the options. Let's go ahead and load that up. So, quests to include in quick guide and spring, midsummer, if there's more than one guide. So I don't think we need to see like default here. Although it could have a name. It could be like, I don't think there's much use in having the name if there's not an easy way to change it yet. So spring, midsummer, Minas Tirith, and Furtherhome, and then whatever's after that. Yule. In League / Ale Association. So that is, don't nest it further unless that's helpful. Now, everything could be indented the same. That's fine. We just don't need a label. We don't need labels for each of those necessarily. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm looking at for changing this around. And if we do all that, then we will have a festival buddy that, assuming it works, can support multiple guides per festival, although right now that's only going to be Midsummer. In the options, we'd have a way to turn quests on and off for Midsummer. So we should expect that in celebration of Midsummer, it would appear in both lists, but you would only want it to be on for one of those or the other. Probably. It's going to take some playing around with. But I think that's definitely a good start for how we're going to think about making these changes. And now let's go ahead and switch over to a tall person and see that everything works. And then after that, I think we'll bring the stream to a close. So that's going to be, as the timing has mentioned before, it's going to be about 20 minutes to run through all that. And then we'll be done. Let's bring in Wenda Cranesville. Okay, unclaimed rewards. I get it. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and set up our festival buddy. Escape key closes. And let's come on into Midsummer and the quick guide. Now, I'm having to do this on each character because I reset all my plugin data files before the stream, and I'll restore them after the stream, so I don't mess anything up. And so all of these characters are starting as if they are fresh, even though they've all done this at least once. Okay, so Midsummer. For now, cure for all ills. Okay, stable hands. Building castles, sure. Gotcha, conundrum, floral crowns, growing pains, honoring healers. Love is in the air. Something, something, sweet, tasty. To the last drop, toss a coin, unheld, blah, blah, blah. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Great! And we're all set up with a fishing pole, we're all set up with a kite skill, and our milestone skill. So, we're going to go ahead and get started. The clock is running. Alright, and we go out. So we're going to go ahead and do all 12 of these, as I mentioned. So we're expecting to come in at around 20 minutes, plus or minus, for the occasional cat not being where we need it to be. So let's go get that sand castle. And then we are going to talk to the Thirsty Beach group. Alright. Come on over for the 4 quests. So, we need an irksome seagull. We got it. We need another irksome seagull. We saw it just flew away, but we got it. Find a place to fish. Got it. It does look like a good spot. Alright, just waiting to make sure we caught a fish and not a sack. There we go. Alright, irksome seagull. Waxing holidayer. Sandcastle. And we're going to go ahead and trigger the kite while we're doing this, so it'll summon out automatically at the end. Fly kites, cat. Let's come fish. I went ahead and dismissed the kite for now. Since we're going inside, it's going to be even more awkward. Alright, have we caught a fish? Yep. So we want the seagull that just got chased off there. We want this one. And we want the one on the north end of the bridge. There we go. Great. Well, let's start helping out. Alright, we are actually helping the people, so let's grab that book. I do like the visual of how the bed looks tidied up after you've done this. It's a satisfying change in the state of things. Alright, we're heading out. We could turn in the housekeeping at this point, but we need to talk to her anyway for the seashells, so might as well do it then. Alright. We do actually want to be off our mount so we can get that. Alright, we got that seagull finally. Was that kite envy? It's hard to tell. So, we gotta fly that kite atop the eastern bridge, and then come on out. Now, this is the first change, not a bad place to swim, but it is quite public. We are picking that up because we have 2 different completion texts that will work in the plugin. Coming on back here, turning that in, and let's mount up. On the way out, we'll get the sassy cat if it's there. But because we are doing help, we're not going to stop at all if the sassy cat's not there. It is. There's just going to be like, what, 2 more opportunities in the next couple minutes. Alright, let's grab that kite. We flew it. Let's get rid of that kite. And we need to go get that cushion. I'm getting the flotsam first just because if you are competing with other people for the flotsam, you want first dibs on it. So grab it here if it's available. If it's not, go get the cushion, and then when it comes back, chances are pretty good it will be there. But you don't want to just go get the cushion, come back, and, you know, oops, the flotsam's not there, and now you have to wait that extra few seconds. That kind of thing can add up in frustration. Alright, so now we're doing the back and forth for the help. And because we were so thorough on the town and efficient on the town, there's not really much left to do there. In fact, on this next run, I'm going to remove some of the quests that we've been completing. Because there's 12 quests, not all of them will fit on the quest tracker. So Assistant the Cook and Titled Treasures tend to fall off. Alright, let's grab that picnic basket. And it's a 3-parter. Grab the basket, talk to the cook, grab the basket. And the quick guide does only advance that objective once you have done all 3 of those parts. Okay. What's in this basket? Perfect for the suitor. So remember that we're going to want to fly a kite here. But it's just beyond the Merrymaker. There we go. And we are done with our kites. And offering to help. All right. That's funny. That fresh herb is just slightly closer than this flotsam, but we need the flotsam and we need to swim the coast, the cove right beyond it, which is a terrifying cove for a hobbit. The water is warm and perfect for swimming, says non-hobbit folk. Alright, go ahead and mount up as soon as you get out of the water. I think it's just enough distance to make it worthwhile. Then walk to the next tree. The next one's far enough away where maybe it can work. Just barely. Alright. Mounting up for this next bit. And then we're getting this tree and this herb. From the herb, go ahead and mount up again. And we are above the town here. Okay. So, to the waterfall, where we will do our third fishing. Alright, we definitely caught something. Let's see what it is. That is a quest item in my inventory. That is the soggy coin pouch. Surely a great treasure lies within, and it is a great treasure, because it is 10 coins modified by your Fateful Toolkit if you have one, so 11 coins. Alright, that is that fish. Yeah, I think that mount's probably inefficient, but I was doing some of my inventory, so. Okay. Let's get the juicy lemon. And then we're going to be running northeast from here, and far enough that you definitely want to mount up. Alright. Heading just northwest from here, let's grab this seashell. And after the fourth one, we'll mount up for the last one. Will we? Kind of like that triangular pattern that we did. Let's consider that. It's a lot of extra swimming though. I do like doing the least amount of swimming possible. Yeah. Unfortunately, as far as I can tell, this captain does not have a way to run faster the way hunters do. Alright. So we're down to 1 tree and 2 swim points. We're at just hitting the 13-minute mark. Now, we don't have to hit these gates, of course, so anytime we can do a slightly straighter line that's not going to dismount us, that's beneficial. Okay, that's more or less the line we want to take. Water is cold, and the waves are a bit much. Alright, so we're going to take advantage of this tree being here. We'll grab that on the way to the last swimming spot. Now, we can do the opposite. Take the other tree and then jump off into the water. It feels marginally longer to do that. The tree's more in line with the path that you're taking, but the path itself is longer, so it may more or less be the same. Okay. Now, resist the urge to go straight in the water like I did last time. Run along the beach a little bit, because diagonal is something. Alright, this is a nice quiet place to swim. So, I'm going to go ahead and use my milestone. Riding probably just a little bit longer, but I haven't timed it out yet. We are only at 15 minutes though, which means this might be a little bit faster than the first time I did it. Nothing like a little bit of practice. And yeah, if you're doing this with 5, 10, however many characters every day, you're gonna just get a little bit better at doing it as you go. Alright, so back up on the bridge. Let's turn stuff in. Which in this case is 12 quests, which probably is not going to level me, but it's definitely going to work on this blue bar that I've got. I actually stepped close enough. Alright, deed completed. I'm confused by cats. Alright, go into turn in assisting the cook. Last 2 quests. And we're done. This was much faster. So I'm going to have to update my timing notes. And there is our wrapper. So that was 16 minutes. We're going to call it 16 and a half. Now, that gives us a much closer range of times where not doing these two only really saved us 3 minutes instead of 5.5 minutes, 6 minutes, something like that. What was 19? Yeah, 5.5 minutes. So that feels a little bit more reasonable, and I'm sure all these numbers will come down a little bit as you work through the weirdness of which quests are you excluding or not. But 3 minutes without those makes sense. Fishing taking an extra minute over the swimming, that makes sense to me. And then eliminating the 4 worst ones, being able to knock it out in about half the time, assuming you're also doing races and gathering guests for those deeds. That will save you 5.5 minutes, give or take, 5 to 6 minutes, on top of doing all 12 of them, just doing 8 of those quests. That makes a big difference after the first 10 characters or something. So interesting, fascinating. I'm glad we got a chance to get some numbers there. Obviously, these numbers are have some wiggle room in them as we optimize each of those routes. Okay. Well, I think that's everything we're going to cover today. I'm very excited to advance the Festival Buddies quick guide to a state where we can support these multiple quick guide ideas, because I think shipping it in the way it currently is a bad idea. Like, it's usable, but it's not very user friendly, and it's not very flexible for switching. Are you doing Minas Tirith or Furtherhome or both, and changing it up each character? Like, if you're doing the same route for each character every time, it'd be okay. But over the next week, I'd really like to nail down that separation of guides out, so that we can have a better experience for everyone. So, Thank you so much for joining me on this exploration of LOTRO plugins. I hope to see you all here next week, and until then, keep plugging along. All right, bye-bye now.